Let's just travel and just be there now when your skin was blue, expanding your awareness of that time.
I'm in the water.
You're in the water?
Like I could feel the waves moving over my fingers and arms as I swim.
What do your fingers look like?
I feel like they're webbed and like I have a tail.
Okay. What color is your tail?
I think it's a shimmery green.
Sounds beautiful.
Hmm?
Tell me more about your life in the water.
I can breathe in the water. And it's just like being able to swim deep down and then come back up and just explore the depths of the water and the distance of the water since it's so expansive. Like I have webbed fingers, but my nails are very sharp.
They are sharp. What do you use your nails for?
When I think about what I use my nails for, the image that pops into my head is like prying open clams.
Okay. And you like to eat that?
I think so.
Okay.
Like you swim all the way down right where the seaweed meets the clam area on the sea floor, and then you pick up a clam and you pry it open. And there's like sand swimming around it as you grab the clam.
Okay. So I'm so curious about where you live underwater, if there's a special place that you feel safe and secure, and perhaps there are others like you.
I think about the castle in Little Mermaid when I think about where I live.
Why?
I don't know, but it makes me happy to think about it. Like I almost want to cry. Like that is home.
Okay. So what does yours look like?
I see one giant peak, almost like if you were to design a castle out of the end of a seashell, like the conch shells, and it has a kind of like rumbly looking peak. If you stand from a distance, you could compare the two images and they look the same.
Okay. How does it provide you shelter? Or do you even need shelter?
I think it keeps all of us safe at night so we can all stay in there together. It almost feels like in that shell, or in that giant version of the shell, there are different compartments, like little, you know how bubbles form in like tofu. Inside the tofu there's like little kind of concave bubbles inside of it.
Yes.
And like each compartment or location of a bubble is where another one of us sleep.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. So let's move to a day where you are with your family or your colony. I'm so curious how many there are. What is that like for you?
I want to say there are hundreds of us, and we're just all together, just enjoying the way life feels. And we kind of like, we can all swim together, move together, almost like a school of fish.
Mm. Yeah. Is there anyone there that is in charge of your colony?
Mm-hmm. And the guy looks like Triton from The Little Mermaid with a big beard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is he in charge of all of you? What sort of rules or direction does he give you?
I feel like we're all a little kind of like curious and mischievous, so he just makes sure that none of us get into too big of a trouble.
Mm-hmm. What kind of trouble?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think
All
it's
right.
just to keep us from danger, just
Is
in
there,
case there is danger.
yeah. Is there danger?
Not that I know of. Like at one point, I feel like we are large, like humans, and then at the other point, I feel like we are the size of like little mites that kind of live in a seashell.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what size we are.
It's hard to tell, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. What do you like to do for fun in the water?
Swim and race with my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Like we go through the seaweeds and like you can win if you reach the end of the kelp forest.
There's a
And
kelp forest.
we live inside like a giant like it's a clearing, but around us are like seaweed. So everywhere around us is surrounded by seaweed. And when you hit the end, you turn around again to go back home.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Very good. All right, let's move to an important day. In this life, you're exploring in the sea. Moving to an important day. Just be there now. This is a day where something important is happening to you.
I think of that day as my sister leaving to move somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all saying goodbye to her.
Why is she leaving?
I think she wants to start a family somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Is she going alone?
I feel like she might be pregnant or have a baby, and
Okay.
she wants to go somewhere else to start a new life.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so what does goodbye sound like and look like?
It's like hugging and waving. The sense that I get with that person who's leaving is like my older sister, and she's taking my niece with her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how does that make you feel?
Still sad, even though I feel like I have like hundreds of siblings. It's still very sad to see one of us leave.
Do you think you'll see her again?
Definitely. I don't think she would be going too far. I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
big it is out there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Do you tend to stay pretty close to your colony in your community?
Part of me wants to explore more, and the other half is happy to live where I am.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell me about the other species that you're able to communicate with and interact with underwater.
I think about like potentially communicating with dolphins or manta rays. The fish aren't that smart, so they don't understand what we're saying. But the dolphins definitely do. Don't know what we would communicate with a dolphin for, but I sense that there is like almost like an understanding between us and the dolphins. Like when you make eye contact with a dolphin, you can telepathically tell it what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have you done that before?
There's one dolphin in particular that I feel like I communicate with.
Mm-hmm. And how do you interact with this dolphin? What do you want to tell it?
Good job. I feel like almost like that dolphin's kind of like my dog that I own now. Very much well connected to that animal energy where there's like a level of trust and understanding. Except my dog is a lot smaller right now. And this
Mm-hmm.
dolphin is like big and strong. And
Yeah.
the way you communicate with it is also by touching it and stroking the side of it up towards its fin.
Yes. So earlier you mentioned you weren't sure the size that you were. Now that you are interacting with this dolphin,
Mm-hmm.
if you could compare yourself to the size of the dolphin and you're with it, what size are you?
Mm-hmm. What about the size of a dolphin too?
You are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's a pretty good size.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And so tell me about what you feel about above water. Do you have any experiences? What do you like looking at above water?
I feel like we don't breathe very well above water. Like if you surface, it's almost like you can't breathe the air that's out there. Like a fish gasping out of water. So we don't really go above water. But if you're like 2 feet underwater, you can still see the moonlight. And I think very specifically, moonlight is something I like to look at rather than sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like peacefulness with that.
There is. Mm-hmm. What is it that you feel besides peacefulness? Do you feel some sort of attraction or pull towards the moonlight?
I think it's beautiful how the moon can be so white and like the moonlight itself shines against my skin, creates almost like a white silvery hue.
Mm-hmm. Very good. All right, let's go ahead and let's continue to scan this life. You're scanning forward. We're going to move to another important event or moment, an important event or moment in this life, in the water, Just be there. Yes, where are you? What is happening?
I think I now have a baby, and I'm ready to leave the colony as well. It feels like whenever we have children, we have to leave.
Yes, your sister did that. Now you're doing that? Okay. Well, let's learn a little bit more about why you do that. Why is that important to leave the colony? Are you leaving with your partner and a baby?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think that when you have a baby, you have to leave because you can't take up all the resources in that area, or else there would be thousands of us rather than hundreds of us in that area. So we would deplete the resources.
I see.
But it feels like I am pregnant rather than I had the baby. Just like how my sister was pregnant.
And so when you're pregnant, does your belly grow like a human, or is it different for your species?
It's almost like grows like a human, but it's also kind of like outside of the body, like you're cradling something. Like you're cradling an egg, but around the section of your belly can hold it to you to keep it warm.
Okay. That's interesting.
Because when I felt like my sister was pregnant and she was leaving, it's like she had the baby, but it was still in her, you know? Like that dichotomy.
Yeah. Okay. Sort of like a kangaroo?
Yeah, kind of like a kangaroo, but like it's like you keep the egg safe on the outside, but it hasn't been born yet.
Yes. And does the egg grow like a baby?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just know that when it's fully grown, it's like the size of a belly.
Ah, okay. Very good. I'm so curious about how your species mate. Can we explore that?
Okay.
Yeah. So you have a partner now, someone that, tell me what that feels like when you have a partner. Do you have feelings for this person, for this being?
I'm not sure. It feels like, you know how you would have, it's like a rendezvous with the kelp forest from an adjacent colony. But I don't know if there's an attached feeling. I just know that you'll have to leave eventually. Maybe you have to leave to go to their colony.
All right. So who did you mate with? Let's move to that time. Let's explore who he is.
I would like to think that if my fin was green, his would be blue. Like a kind of like a shaggy brown hair and blue eyes. And it's like serendipitous the moment we met because the kelp forest is so dense.
Okay.
Then I've have the feeling we meet up quite often.
Hmm.
And mhm.
So when you do meet with him often, is it because you want to see him?
I think it's a surprise to see him because
Okay.
my family is all female. It's the sense that I get from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so like when you see another male around, it's very rare.
Okay.
So like
Mm-hmm.
I want to like get to know what makes a male tick rather than, a female tick.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Very good. So let's go to that day that the mating takes place. Does it work like fishes, or is it different?
I think it works like fishing.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about that.
Like we kind of like circle each other is how I think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like you excrete the eggs and then the guy fertilizes it.
Okay. Interesting.
And so like you hold on to the eggs too. So I don't think it's like fishes where they release it into the wild, but it's very controlled, like you release the eggs,
Mm-hmm.
but it sticks to your body.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so when you leave your colony with your baby, does he go with you? Does it work like that, or do you go off by yourself?
I don't think it would be safe if I just left by myself.
No, it
Because in
doesn't.
our colony, we have a man protecting us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably that I go either to my partner or and his colony, or we start
Yes.
one with ourselves.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Very good. Anything else that you perceive here?
There are thousands of us.
There are.
There's like in the water, it's almost like how the United States has so many people
Mm-hmm.
and there are clusters of people
Mm-hmm.
in like certain areas. That's the way it feels but underwater.
Yeah. Do you tend to stay towards the bottom of the ocean? Do you stay in that area?
I think that's how we build our homes, is in those areas where it's at the bottom. I don't think we stay too close to the surface, even though we can go up to the surface and observe, but I think most of our activity centers around being at home
Mm-hmm.
or around the home.
Okay. Very good. And how do you get along with the other colonies? Has there ever been any problems or issues with other colonies that you're aware of?
No, I think we understand that to survive, you have to live peacefully. And like, it happens that women will go out and mate with someone and then can come back pregnant. There isn't like animosity.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like an understanding that you are creating the next generation and like moving on to do other things.
Yes. Okay, very good. All right. Let's go ahead and move to one final day to explore in this life that you are looking at. One final important day. Just be there, expanding your awareness, and just tell me where you are, what is happening.
I think we have found our home. And it's like the moment you it's like how I saw my first home with my father, except it's now our home with our family.
What does it look like?
Also like a seashell tip. I don't know how it got there. I don't know who built it. It almost felt like it was abandoned. That or it was constructed somehow.
Does it feel like ruins in a way? Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, yeah. I don't know how these homes come to be. Like it's almost as if they exist and you find one and you move into it.
Yeah. What's it made out of?
Coral.
Coral. Okay. Yes. And is now your new community growing?
Yeah, we're not that far away from my original home.
So do you visit?
I do.
Okay.
It's very interesting breathing underwater.
It's like the air is your oxygen, yes? Anything else?
It's a peaceful life. There's no wars. Everyone understands resource management. You live with the food you eat, like the clam and the kelp and the sea life.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead now, and we're going to move to the last day of your life in this life we've been looking at. Transitioning is a part of every life. Let's go and move to your transition day. And where are you? Who is with you?
I feel like I'm curled in a ball, like I curled into a ball and I'm holding my fin out close to my chest. It's like I'm against the sand and we just pass away peacefully. But I feel like you're alone because this isn't the type of things you do with people around you.
It's interesting. All right. So let's just begin your transition.
I think about how as the soul leaves the body through the water, like once you pass the water, that's the first time you've taken a breath outside of water. That didn't hurt, like you're being reborn into something different. And then when you land in that like heaven-like pathway, you forget that you can walk with feet. So like you're still like in a mermaid tail form. There are hands on my back and like on my back, along my back, trying to help me to stand up for the first time.
Okay.
like a fish out of water. You're just gasping a little bit and just surprised by it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So they're supporting you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
I think there's 6 people around me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I sense. And like you walk down that walkway towards the light and you just like listen to what they tell you. But I don't know what they're saying. I just know that they're trying to tell me something.
Okay. Let me help you. Okay, just take a breath. You're going to hear them in your heart center. Just trust. Staying in the heart center. What message do they have for you?
I get the sense of like, good job.
Mm-hmm.
This was this was one of the lifetimes I always wanted to do. And getting to live out like that peaceful, restful lifetime is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost like something I crave to do. And when I remember when people talk about like past life regression where they need a lifetime where nothing happens and it's just so for the soul can rest.
Mm-hmm.
I think my equivalent is one of those realms or planets where I am different than just human, where my soul gets to really enjoy that peace and connection with the earth and with nature.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to ask one of your guides to come forward closer to you to moderate. One of them will come even closer and you'll be able to perceive them more clearer. Just tell me when you see this.
Mm-hmm.
What do they look like?
I see Emily, my guide. She is the one that I work most closely with in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
She is happy that I got to explore that life. But we got bigger things to do in this one.
Mm-hmm. Can they tell us why they showed you the first life? The one where you had your tribe. What are you taking away by knowing more about that life?
Community.
Mm-hmm.
A sense of like, you could lose it all, but as long as you have your community, you have a way to start over. That not all is lost, because what is lost is physical, but what is there is emotional. And so if you build a community, you'll never feel like you're lost. Maybe not, maybe lost isn't the right word, but you'll never feel like you're lacking anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that lifetime was more about a simpler time where even though everyone had to leave, we were there together. And so we're really only changing location, not people.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess in this lifetime, the idea is if we, with how interconnected it is, even if we aren't next to each other or near each other, that doesn't mean we don't have a community together. But it's finding your community that's going to take time.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Emily.